Welcome, everybody, to the That Kind of Nerd podcast. I am CJ Mellon.
I am Brian Thornton.
And I'm Josh Burns.
Welcome to our show. This week's episode, we talk about streaming music services, in particular Beats. We break down the trailers for the May blockbusters that are coming out and give you our thoughts and opinions on them. We talk about movie theater etiquette and the Fast and Furious franchise. We round it out with 2 comments from our listeners, and we give Josh a chance to redeem himself. Welcome to the That Kind of Nerd podcast. So I'm actually really kind of excited for today's episode because, in my opinion, this is the least nerdy this show is going to be in a while. That if you have any friends who are like starting to listen to this show and you don't know exactly where to start them off on, you could probably start on this or the first episode because we're not going to go all nerd crazy that I can see so far.
Speak for yourself.
This.
Yeah, we'll go a little nerd crazy,
but not to the yesterday or the last week's conversation. Not to the previous episodes. No. It's Batman and it's Superman yelling at each other.
Right.
So I think this is going to be good. So I'm excited for this. So Josh wrote an interesting article for our website, thatkindofnerd.com, where he's talking about streaming services, mainly in particular Beats Audio. Josh, you were actually pretty passionate about getting this article out into the world. So why don't you give us a little background as to why this was a topic that was really exciting you?
Yeah, I started looking for a new music service when I was commuting to Plymouth Meeting for work, and Spotify, you go on a channel and it'll give you 45 minutes maybe of good music, and then it starts to veer wildly off topic, like switching genres. When I'm listening to alt, it's going into pop, and I don't want to hear that. And it's also not giving you stuff that's fresh, or it's repeating songs. It's just no good. So it was the search for something that would satisfy a long drive and keep me entertained. And that's when I came to Beats Music. It was like a free trial at the time, and you special deal if you hooked it up through your wireless carrier. So I tried it out, and it was really cool.
So what other services did you go through before you went and you decided to go to Beats? I know you said, Spotify, but I mean, yeah, Pandora, and I mean, that stuff's free. I think you have to pay for Beats, right?
Yeah, you pay for Beats the same as you pay for Spotify, $9.99 a month. But I tried Pandora. I think everybody has, and it's awful. I've tried Rhapsody, and I'm not crazy about that. I've tried like Slacker. Just imagine like a day with all of us sitting behind a mobile counter, and there were no customers, so we're just playing around with different apps. That's literally, it was a summer of like me and a few other people when it was dead, just trying out different radio apps, and Beats Music is what I settled on as probably the most comprehensive and catered to my needs the best.
If I remember, and this was before Apple acquired Beats, and there's some things that are going to be coming down the pipeline with Beats Music and Apple joining together now. But this is, I think the thing that set Beats apart was this was a human curated list, right? Like this isn't an algorithm. There's actually people working behind the scenes for this, if I remember correctly.
People and sites, yeah. I mean, actual people, but fueled by AMP and Hot 97 and K-Rock and a bevy of others, including Rolling Stone and Pitchfork, who are a couple of my favorites.
So something that was really interesting about Beats Music, and something I didn't know until I actually read your article, because when I played with Beats Music, I just looked, it was like, I'm confused, and I left. It has something called the sentence.
Yes. The sentence is the coolest feature, in my opinion, about it.
So you have a screenshot here, and some words are in black and some are in white. Looks like the whites are the ones that you can put in. And you have, I'm in the car in white, and feel like in white, road tripping with myself to classic rock. So you kind of give, is it the premise that you give Beats kind of what you're doing, and it's going to start making a list based off of the information you're giving it?
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine a Mad Lib where you're basically filling in, your noun and your verb and your adverb, whatever, this, all the English fun stuff. But the crazy thing about the sentence is that it has a lot of different things. So, and feel like pre-partying, doing nothing, sleeping in, punching walls.
Punching walls?
Punching walls is a choice. So I'm on a boat and feel like punching walls with no pants on is an option.
If they don't play "I'm on a Boat" by Lonely Island, I'll be severely disappointed in that playlist.
No Pants On, No Regrets, Extraterrestrials is a choice. Your Mother is a choice.
It sounds like Angry Apples just got fixed in with Pandora and went a little crazy on it.
Yeah, so if I choose "I'm on a Boat" and feel like punching walls with your mom to alt rock, and I play that sentence, I get Jason's Basement.
And now we have to pay the money. I appreciate that.
It sounds like an elaborate way to insult yourself.
No, look, here's the reason I use it that way is, sometimes you know how you feel, but you're just scrolling through your iTunes collection and cannot find the appropriate thing, right?
Yes.
And for me, it's a lot of alt rock, it's a lot of classic rock, it's a lot of indie, it's a lot of hip hop, it's a lot of metal, and I can't ever choose, but I know how I feel. So I'll just say, you know what, man? I just feel like winding down, right? I feel like relaxing. And I'm in my car right now, and I'm by myself, and I know that I could get down to some alt rock right now. So, but I don't want to make that choice, and Beats Music makes it for me with never a repeat ever.
So I'm not a big fan of streaming music services because I really like the fact that if I'm going to pay for something, I want to own the music. So I've always had like a problem with them, but I use them from time to time because there's just sometimes I want to discover new music.
Sure.
So so today, actually on the drive home, I have an hour drive home. I was listening to something and I was like, I feel like I'm in the mood for some like acoustic stuff. I don't know what I want. I put in Obadiah Parker, starting from Hey Ya.
Nice.
Which is, great cover of that song, by the way, if you haven't heard it. And then I put on iTunes Radio and said, go ham, like show me what you got. And the songs I got back were not very good.
No.
And it was all, and then afterwards, just like you kind of said, it did veer off a bit. Where now I'm getting big hits from bands that are doing acoustic versions instead of getting some kind of folkier sound or getting something a little more catered to what I was looking for. So then I went over to Pandora, and Pandora kind of did the same thing, but took my thumbs downs really to heart and started kicking stuff like the Goo Goo Dolls off. The Goo Goo Dolls off the list and started becoming a little more catered. Does Beats kind of give you that thing too? So if you can go, whoa, hold on, Beats, you're going down the wrong direction. I want to go this way instead. Can you nudge it in the right direction?
Yeah, you can. I mean, obviously you can just skip, but it's more intuitive than that, right? So what you're saying is, Beats, this is not what I'm looking for, and that's actually not the case at all. See, when you play the sentence, you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. The crazy thing about it is, imagine that sort of 7 degrees of separation where it's not just the band that you're playing, right? It's not just the Deftones. It's bands that were influenced by the Deftones and bands that influenced the Deftones. You're going to hear all of it, right? And it's so cool the way the way they have it curated. And when you play the sentence, and you specify classic rock, it's not going to just play you Creedence Clearwater Revival. You're going to hear some of the Johnny Cash, some of the edgier Johnny Cash stuff. You're going to hear some of the Otis Redding stuff. I mean, it's going to span at what they would consider classic rock.
So then the other part for it too is this is a monthly subscription, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I pay $9.99 a month.
All right. So Tidal from Jay-Z, which is done terrible, by the way. That's like what, $20 a month?
If you want HD, it's $19.99 a month for high quality audio, which I think is just terrible.
Right.
Just completely. Jay-Z's star power, and I get it, and it's popular amongst the youngsters, and that's cool, but it's just, $20 a month for real? No.
Brian, you use Spotify in your car, right? Because you have a 5-minute commute, you lucky SOB. So I don't know. What do you do for music while you're in your car? Or when you drive an hour and you visit your friends, like to record the podcast, I know you hang out with some people. What do you listen to when you're in your car?
Honestly, I've never tried Beats Music because 9 times out of 10, like you said, I have a 5-minute commute to work, which is really awful sometimes. I don't even get to listen to 2 whole songs. So I don't need the need to discover new music. It's more about I want to listen to some stuff that I haven't listened to a while, and I use Spotify I have this 500 song playlist, and I put on a song that I like, and I start the shuffle, and I drive my hour from here to visit whoever I'm visiting. So I don't find the need to discover new music too often. If I did, it sounds like Beats would probably be the way to go, because I've tried Spotify's radio option and it's not always that great.
So this is the tail end for it. Once I finally find an artist, and I'm not in a mood, I want to actually just start listening to a particular genre or a particular person. I love going to ham on it and just finding either their discography online, or I find it on Spotify and I find the artist and I just listen to everything. Does Beats give you that option too?
Yeah.
Can I just consume all one artist?
Yeah, absolutely. All of one artist, and if you're introduced to a new artist who maybe isn't so new, just someone you haven't heard before, what they'll have is an intro, a playlist made by a popular curator that'll be an intro to that artist that'll give you sort of the highlights.
Oh, that's cool.
And then a secondary playlist that'll be deep cuts, lesser known but very popular or very intense songs. So, CJ, I would tell you, knowing what you know about the band Brand New, you should go to Beats Music and listen to the intro to Brand New and then the deep cuts.
So it isn't just like, here's everything. It goes, listen, you're new. Here's a new part for it.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a great fan of this artist. Have you heard this one and that one?
Right, but if you want to listen to Deja Entendu, if you want to listen to The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, you can listen to the whole album. For instance, when I travel, I make Deja Entendu available offline so I can listen to it on the plane.
Okay.
And that's what, but that music is basically downloaded onto your phone at that point.
Right.
So you're, be cautious, people, when you do that. You're taking up space.
All right. So the other thing I had, because I was reading your article and I had a question about it too. Something I really liked on iTunes was every once in a while they have an artist that made an iTunes station, and they kind of almost like DJ it in the sense that they'll cut in and say, "Listen, I like this song and it inspired me to do X, Y, Z." They kind of do like a storyteller's thing, and then they play the song and they come in and out with this, and it was a real cool experience. I love John Mayer. John Mayer did one. I was like, cool, I'll listen to it, and he was talking about some of his influences because he went kind of bluesy and folksy. And what did that? Does Beats give us anything like that? Are there like celebrity playlists?
Not playlists like that, but what you can do is you can follow the artist on Beats Music and then consume content from them directly.
So like, do they say, "Hey, I like this song"? So if I follow an artist and they say, "Oh my God, I just listened to this album," can they like it and it shows up on like a feed?
Yeah, it's not a feed. It's more like a page with activity, so to speak. It's not
okay.
It's not like a social network type feed as such. But here's the bottom line for me was music. For me, and I think for a lot of people, is one of those things that puts you in a particular time and place.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right? If I hear Digital Bath by the Deftones, I'm immediately driving fast at night in the summer with the windows down. It's just how I feel when I hear the song. And there's a ton of music that does that for me, and I have the capability of capturing that in individual playlists or hearing the sort of what other people see as the bigger picture of other songs that are in that genre. Or for my kids, there's a whole playlist of just kids music, and it's not kids. And when I say kids music, it's like, Rage Against the Machine and my kids music. It's the stuff my kids listen to. But it keeps them quiet on car rides, man. They get in the car, they go, "Daddy, kids playlist." And I put it on. It's got pop stuff. It's got rock stuff. It's got One Direction and Taylor Swift and Rage Against the Machine, amongst others.
Just imagine your kids listening to Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, dude, Fistful of Steel.
Like your son climbing on top of the car, like at the VMAs, and rocking back and forth on the car.
They are a big fan of Tom Morello's prowess on the guitar.
And I agree with that statement because, for me too, I love using music as a tool. I use it when I write. I did when I was acting, I would have like a playlist for a character to help me get in their mindset. So this sounds really cool that you could start with something like a sentence and discover artists, or find an artist that you really want to get introductions to them, or a deep cut. I tool around with all different media sources, and I really didn't give Beats Music a fair shot. So I'm thinking I may do it. Now, my question is it still restrictive to a carrier to get it, or it's totally open now?
It never was restricted. There was there was a deal if you were on a specific wireless carrier, and then there may still be that you can get a multi-account subscription for a lesser price.
Okay.
But for right now, I think you have maybe like a 48-hour or 7-day trial period. And when you first create the account, it loads this graphic on the screen. It's all these bubbles, right? And you are making the bubbles bigger or smaller based on how much you like, or how much you like this band. If you like them, you put them in a big bubble. If you like them a little bit, small bubble. Don't like them, off the screen. And once you do that, it builds your home screen that's called Just For You. And man, you can scroll for a solid 10 minutes and explore stuff that is catered for you.
And what's funny that you said that, it sounds like the interface is actually pretty intuitive, because I use Samsung's Milk service when I had my Samsung Galaxy S5, and God, I hated that. The UI on that is just awful. It's clunky. It doesn't make very much sense at all. So It seems like I may actually give this a try. Maybe at least try it for a month. See how I like it on the commute, because in my commute I have podcast days and I have music days where I catch up on other shows that I listen to, and there's days where I need to just get some music in my head.
Just let me give you an example. In my Just For You right now, there's an emo and pop punk energy boost playlist that's curated by the playlist was built by Jess Harwell of Beats Punk, and then right under that there's a full Radiohead album called The Bends, and then there's At the Drive-In album next to it. So I mean, It goes based on my taste in music, and it knows what I've played, and I'm sure there's algorithms and they capture that data, but it's always going to be somewhat in my wheelhouse and never crazy, stupid, random like the other services.
All right. So right now, Beats Audio, you just go ahead, you get the subscription. You can do it on your iOS device. Is it out for Android as well? Or is it only iOS?
I have no idea. I don't have an Android phone. I'm sure it is. It's Beats Music. Go to beatsmusic.com. You can sign up there, or you can sign up through the app on your phone or tablet, or yeah, I'm sure it's available on all the platforms.
So I would definitely go ahead and try that out. See if it's good for you. Now, if you use Beats and you thought, hey, that was a good description of it, let us know. If you're a person who doesn't like Beats at all, you've tried it before and you switch to Spotify, sound off in our comments, or call the phone number at the end of this, or send us an email and tell us your opinion on it. We may even play it on the show. So
yeah, I may be using Spotify wrong. So I mean, if that's
it's probably true too.
If I'm way off the mark, and I use Spotify for about 2 years, so if I was using it wrong the whole time, please tell me. But in the meantime, try Beats Music. You will not be sorry.
So my next topic is actually a post that Brian is getting together for us, and we'll be live by the time that we publish this podcast on Mondays. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, we're trying to aim for Mondays dropping news and our podcast on thatkindofnerd.com. We're still new to the podcast game, so give us a little time to make sure that some of our stuff gets set together. But Brian is talking about the May movie list. While the seasons are really screwed up right now because it's 46 in Pennsylvania and it's almost May, the movie season has, thank God, stayed its course. So we got a lot of good movies coming out. So Brian, why don't you tell us what's coming down the pipeline and tell little people about some of the movies.
Okay, so there's a lot of movies coming out this summer in general. I mean, I could just cover in the article. I just cover May for this week. I'm going to be adding to it as we kind of go along here. But everybody knows next week is going to get kicked off for the summer movie season with Avengers, the Avengers sequel, Age of Ultron. Something that I'm personally extremely excited for. If nobody's figured it out, I'm a huge comic book fan, and I think this movie is going to be fantastic, and you're going to get all the wonderful humor and action that you got out of the first one, just to the next level. I think it's going to be completely spectacular. So, CJ,
I mean, there's no doubt that this has been Marvel's. This is Marvel's huge thing that they're doing right now. I know Ant-Man's on the horizon, but this has kind of taken priority over a lot of other things.
There's more star power in this than there's in anything else.
Huge star power in this.
Well, I mean, Ant-Man is set for July. I mean, this is Marvel has made a point of making a major movie comes out the first weekend of May, always, to kind of kick off the summer movie season. And I mean, last year it was the Iron Man 3 was a couple years ago, and all the Iron Mans come out the first weekend in May. and the Spider-Mans came out the first weekend in May. So they're continuing the tradition and kicking it off right. This is going to be setting the bar for all summer movies, honestly. This is going to be the bar that I gauge every summer movie by.
So let me ask the question that seems really stupid to ask, but I'm going to ask it after every movie. Are you going to see it, Brian?
I will be there at midnight or 10 p.m. Whatever the first showing is, I'm going to be there. Honestly, I'm going to be involved in a wedding that weekend, and I've already told certain folks I don't care what reception or rehearsal dinner or whatever I need to leave to go see this movie. If you know me, you'll understand, and I will be at this movie come hell or high water.
Jeez, Brian, you're that kind of nerd.
I know, right?
I'm sorry, that was terrible. Josh, are you going to see this movie?
Because of my involvement in this podcast, I have a flight that lands at 10 p.m. on Thursday. I'm going to hit the bar for a couple rounds, and then I'm going to take an Uber over to the theater.
I'm sorry, are you going to a midnight showing, Josh?
I don't really have a choice. This is the life you have forced me into.
I'm sorry, Josh. I really couldn't hear that. You're going to a midnight showing?
Yes, a midnight show.
The reason why I'm repeating this fact is that Josh hates going to crowded movies. Josh would rather go to a movie on a Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That was actually the plan. That was the plan.
Nobody in the theater and watch it that way. But because we want to record a podcast, particularly about this episode, we are forcing him into doing it. And for anyone who knows Josh, you'll know that's out of character. If you don't know Josh, he's really being dedicated to this show and to you, the listeners, to be informed about it. So I think it's hilarious that he's going to do this.
A curse on both your houses.
That's not fair. So I will not be going to the midnight showing only because that's the weekend of my daughter's birthday. So I have family coming in and family coming over, so I can't do that. I'm not as dedicated as Brian is to leave like a wedding.
I see that you're just not devoted enough. That's okay.
I also missed Iron Man on opening weekend because that's the day that my daughter was born.
I'm just hearing excuses upon excuses.
I can't see the first week of May at midnight. I just can't do it until she's older and I can get someone to watch it and it's okay and I'll feel good about it.
When she's older, you'll be bringing her to these movies, so who cares?
When she's older, I don't know if she'll go to midnight showings with us, but she'll definitely go to showings. Maybe a Wednesday at 1 o'clock like Josh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll join you. That's
I'll
it.
I'll babysit.
You'll babysit. Do it that way. All right. So the next movie that's coming out on May 15th is Mad Max Fury Road. This is a lot of people are really excited, anticipated it. It's a reboot with Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, and who else is in this?
Oh man, I can't remember his name right now.
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult.
He was in Warm Bodies, and he plays the Beast in the X-Men First Class movies.
So I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna start a fight. I don't care about this movie at all.
No, boo.
I don't care about this. I've never Mad Max was great. That movie is so awesome. Why the hell are we rebooting this? Why are we rebooting this?
Because it'll make money. That's all that matters.
An original idea instead of rebooting this kind of trailer.
I mean,
this kind of movie.
Everything's a reboot or a remake anymore, and we love it. We eat that stuff up all the time, dude.
That's not true. I don't eat that up. When they rebooted Total Recall, I was like, this looks like a terrible idea.
I saw
Total Recall.
Why you gotta go there?
Terrible movie.
Why you gotta go there?
Why would I go with a recent reboot that totally flopped? You're absolutely right.
Have you seen the movie?
Seen what movie?
Have you seen Total Recall? The remake.
Yes.
The remake.
Yes. It's awful.
It's not that awful.
Yes, it's not that awful.
I actually enjoyed it. It's completely different from. It's not. It's closer to the short story. That's the thing. It's not the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You went in.
You know what else? You know what else flopped in the theater? You know what else? Mallrats.
Yeah.
Yes, but that was an original film, so
I don't
I'm
care.
okay with that
Look,
flopping.
I'm just saying,
it's an original
classic.
film,
Cult
and
classic.
it's been a cult classic, really way. Mad Max Fury Road is not going to become a cult classic. It's not like people are going to watch this in 10 years and be
No,
like,
but
oh,
Mad Max is a cult classic. Total Recall is a cult classic.
Exactly.
These are
right. So why would you remake them?
Because it makes money. It makes, and I'm censoring myself. It makes money.
Right, but why?
Listen,
I know money.
why
Take
does it
money out of
make
the
money?
equation to give me a better? No, I know why it makes money. Tom Hardy alone just brings in money. Charlize Theron,
But that's
brings
the thing.
in money.
So how many years has it been since Mad Max? What was it? Beyond Thunderdome was the last one. That was 3. It was like 90.
We don't need
like
to remake it.
93.
It's fine.
No,
It's
listen.
fine.
I'm completely okay with updating a movie that's 20 plus years old. That makes sense. It's when you're rebooting movies that are 5 years old that I'm like, we don't really need to do this.
What, like Spider-Man?
I don't know what you speak of, sir.
Yes, that was awesome.
I have
Thank
no
you.
idea what you're speaking of.
No,
They rebooted
listen,
that?
Here's what I would have been okay with. I would have been okay with a continuation. I would have been okay with a spin-off happening at the same time but different characters. I would have been okay with an original idea, an original thought that isn't replacing the Mel Gibson movies. I don't understand why we need to reboot this. And I guess that's the reason why I'm so against it.
And that's fine and all, but hey, did you enjoy Star Trek? Just curious. You enjoyed Star Trek, right?
I did.
Okay. So
as a
so
totally
reboots
different
work.
story. You're right.
Wait, so you
Well,
saw
this will
both of
probably
them.
be a totally different story.
They flipped it. That's
It's
the
going to
whole
be
point.
different. It's going to be new. It's not just let's do the same exact movie and kind of update it. It's going to be a completely different movie and set apart. It set itself apart from the original Mad Max series.
If only that Tom Hardy's British and Mel Gibson's Australian. I mean,
Right,
there you
exactly. No, I think it's going to be an enjoyable movie. I'm not as excited for this movie, but I'm definitely going to go check it out.
I don't. You know what, man? I watched the trailer for this twice, trying to get psyched up for it.
And you couldn't, right?
No, it makes me feel like I have sand in my shorts, and I don't want. I don't want
the worst
that
feeling ever.
is what I get when I see remakes like this.
I don't want sand in my shorts.
like,
It's
oh, I'm
basically
gonna get a rash from this.
Like, I'm looking at these people and going, "There's got to be a shower somewhere that you could hop in." Like,
A shower
why
of
do you-
gasoline and then light
they
you on
have
fire.
the pig pen lines, the smelly lines coming off them. I just can't. I watch movies like that, and I'm like,
Yes.
well, how are you so? Why does everybody look like a friggin' street urchin? I can't watch this. Could you just like, I don't know. Guess you know what cleans you off? Gasoline. They've got plenty of that. You just wipe your face with some of that. You're clean.
Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna bode well.
Yeah,
they're already
seriously.
crazy. Let's put gasoline fumes in their brains too.
There is
It reminds me of the Danny McBride thing from This Is the End, where he's got Channing Tatum as like his gimp.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just all. I don't like post-apocalyptic in the same way I don't like zombies. It makes me feel bleh.
Josh
I don't like it.
hates zombies.
They're stupid.
No, they're not stupid. You're stupid.
I think you're
I'm
watching
not
the wrong
stupid.
zombies.
I'm going that elevated in the conversation. By the way, I'm just going to throw out your.
Oh, but this isn't going to get nerdy at all. Let's just talk about zombies for the next 15 minutes.
That's not going to happen because I'm just about to move us on to the movie I'm so excited for,
Yes.
and that's Pitch Perfect 2, which is
Yes.
the same day
Yeah.
as Mad Max, and I will be in theaters on the midnight showing. I'll go to that one because it's my birthday for Pitch Perfect 2. Anna Kendrick, the whole cast getting back together. Yeah, I'm there. And look, an original story. How exciting!
Based on a book. So not really original.
A sequel
Based on a book.
based on.
Just saying. Everything you think is original is not really original. Just saying.
Anyway,
No, but I'm really excited for this movie.
Brian called Pitch Perfect. He called the original one a sleeper hit, and I think
it was.
It really was.
It's probably the best. It's the best way you can characterize that movie.
Yeah.
I watched it with Laura because you do that for your wife, and I liked it way more than she did. And I probably seen it at least 10, 12 times by now.
Anytime that's on TV, it's a movie. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching that.
Yeah.
Like whatever. I don't care what else is happening right now.
Here's what's funny. I was at a meeting for work, and this is last year. And there's a lot of some big wigs around, and everybody's sort of shooting the breeze, having a few beers, and I made a reference. I laid a Pitch Perfect reference out, and my boss's boss at the time like locked eyes with me and was like, I went, "Oh, you got that?" He's like, "Yeah, but don't tell anybody." And I'm like, "Oh, no, all right, cool."
And see, this is why this movie was such a sleeper hit. Was because when I first saw it, I was like, I'm not watching Glee the movie. Fuck off. It's just not happening. I'm not going to do it. Glee was huge at that time. I don't like Glee. So I was like, I'm not watching a movie that's just Glee. Like, I'm not doing it. God, was I wrong? Like, I want to go back and punch my old self in the face for missing this movie. And I think it's also what helped propel Anna Kendrick into just a sheer level of crazy, funny stardom that she really is and deserves.
In fairness, she was amazing and up in the air.
Yeah, she was nominated for an Oscar for that movie.
Right. But that wasn't a like, oh my God, she's so funny and hilarious. It was, wow, what a great actress. What a great individual. Like
we disregard the depth and go, oh, but she's funny and quirky in this.
Yeah,
right, absolutely.
Well, this definitely made everybody see her in a kind of a different light. I love this movie.
This launched her Twitter handle.
Yeah,
it did.
She is the queen of Twitter. She wins Twitter every day.
You don't need to tell me. I get it.
She's the reason I downloaded Twitter.
If you are not following 2 people on Twitter, you're missing out. One of them is that kind of nerd. The other one, that's not true at all, by the way. The other one is Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick's Twitter feed wins Twitter every day. When I have it set for alerts and it pops up on my Pebble, and no matter what I'm doing, I'm like, I'm going to stop what I'm doing right now. I'm going to read Anna Kendrick's tweet. And I usually have to laugh for 5.5 minutes uncontrollably and change my pants after I soiled myself. It's phenomenal. She's so good in it. And you know what? The rest of the cast in Pitch Perfect 2 is really great. There's some people that I was very apprehensive about. I'm like, I don't want to see you in a movie. I don't want to see you in the movie. And then you see him like, yeah, all right, you're really good.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. So I'm going to go see that one. I'm sorry, I didn't ask that for Mad Max. Who's going to see Mad Max? Brian?
I'll be seeing Mad Max. Maybe not opening day because I think I'm going to put Pitch Perfect in a priority position over Mad Max, but I'll see it sometime opening week.
Brian? Wow. Josh? Will you be seeing Mad Max and Pitch Perfect?
I'll be seeing Pitch Perfect for sure. I'm probably gonna skip Mad Max.
I'm gonna skip Mad Max, and like I said, I'm gonna be in.
I'll let you know how it is
as I can for Pitch Perfect 2. Yeah, you want I challenge you then to write the review for that movie and try to prove me wrong.
You don't need to challenge me. I'll do it.
So since we were talking about Up in the Air and Anna Kendrick, strange segue into Tomorrowland with George Clooney. This movie I am so excited for. When I saw the teaser, because I'm in the movies probably with my wife. And we like to talk during the shitty previews, and I just kind of see this movie come on, and you can just tell from the tone of it. I was like, this is something interesting. And she was kind of talking. I was like, shut up, shut up, shut up. And I just got that glare of, what the hell did you just say? And I was like, I don't care. I need to watch this. And the first trailer was just her picking up the pin coming out of some kind of prison or some kind of jail or something
like that.
Something like that. Detention center, whatever you want to call it. And she picks up the pin, transforms into this cornfield, this wheat field, and they do this.
She doesn't. It doesn't transform. She transports.
She transports, and
well, I think that's a pretty key distinction.
We said we're not going to get nerdy, and then there we are arguing about transforming. Nothing transforms. No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You said we're not going to get nerdy. I made no commitment to that.
Sorry. I'm so sorry I used the wrong word. Anyway, it was amazing. And then I was teased. I was intrigued. And I don't usually go and research movie campaigns online. I don't try to find their viral websites. I don't try to find out their stuff. I went as deep as I could to try to find out any information about this because all I knew was Tomorrowland, and all I could think about was that's a section of Disney World. Like, wow, how do you make this a movie? And I'm so excited for this, and it looks fantastic. Hugh Laurie is in it. George Clooney. I mean, just the cast is looking just phenomenal. And
can you explain it to me? Because I watched the trailer.
No,
and I went.
No, I won't, and I'll tell you why. This is something that you need to see in the moment and catch. And the fact that I know information about it, the fact that I feel like I know information about it is I'm trying to control delete. And I'm just trying to F6 it out of my brain so that way I don't retain it at all.
I mean, Josh, from what I can gather, she's like the Neo, and she's supposed to save their world somehow. I don't know much more beyond that because I'm trying to keep it kind of under wraps for myself. I don't want to ruin a whole lot for me. Honestly, I saw this trailer, and all I needed to see was from the director of Incredibles and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and I was like, I'm in. Yep. Brad Bird has... And just those 2 movies are just fantastic, and I would not, any movie he does since now, I'm good with seeing no matter what.
And what I find real intriguing about this movie, it kind of did something that I haven't seen done in a long time, and it's movie magic. the cut of picking up the pin, dropping the pin, and the just the quick transitions between one world to the next just got me so excited, because even just trying to edit this podcast and trying to get moments in between our breaths, or when someone says something they shouldn't have said, and trying to cut that down and make it seem natural, I can only imagine the scale of doing that between these two harsh locales. One of, dark and blue tones, and things are a little gritty, going out to a bright, colorful field, and then back again within seconds. I mean, I just went, holy crap. The magic that's coming out of this is phenomenal. And the fact that Disney is in charge of it really kind of proves that, Disney is bringing back magic to movies. I was so excited for it.
Nope.
You really know?
No, I mean, look, I've seen the trailer twice, maybe 3 times. Every time I see it, I'm just like, yeah.
I think you're going to be kicking yourself in the head once we come back and tell you how good
I watched this trailer, and I was immediately reminded of the first time I walked into Tomorrowland and the Magic Kingdom, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks really freaking cool. Like when you're waiting in line for Space Mountain and you're looking at that giant, like, kind of cone-shaped building that they have in that movie, or like, wow, it's like that kind of sense of wonder. I feel like you're going to get that while watching this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well. All right. I that's fine. I hated Disney World, so I get it. It's
so you hate fun? Okay.
No, man. Look. It was a weird. It was a.
What was that?
It was a weird time in my life, and I was experimenting with certain things, and I'll tell you what you see is
that's a whole different podcast.
It really
I have
is.
to hear that
But
experience.
I'll tell you what happens is, if you take a step back and watch what's going on around you, and nobody ever does. When you're in Disneyland, or Disney World, you're so caught up in, the rides and the lights and the fun and the people, and take a step back and watch what's happening around you. It looks a little bit like a race of indentured people who were bred to serve in this small city. Look,
you're absolutely right.
I was freaked out, and I thought, this place is evil. I have to leave.
I have friends that work for Disney, and I have some that have the greatest positive experiences with it, and people that have left Disney's employment going, let me tell you what it's really like.
Yeah, I'm not. I won't use the word appalled, because I don't think a 15-year-old has the capacity to be appalled, but I was frightened. I did not feel safe.
Well, don't be frightened about this movie. It looks phenomenal.
It's making me feel unsafe just
British.
talking about it.
Plus George
and
Clooney.
Thank God. And George Clooney, but can we actually appreciate the fact that this is one of the times that Hugh Laurie gets to be British besides 101 Dalmatians? I think was he American in Stuart Little?
Yep.
Yeah, he was.
Yep. So gets to actually be British. That's a good change for him. It's phenomenal. By the way, Josh, for your reference, because I know you like to sometimes take the kids to movies, Tomorrowland is rated PG, so it can't be that terrifying or that scary. And it comes out on May 22nd. I know I'm going to be there, and my wife and I are really excited to go see this movie.
The subliminal stuff you got to worry about, CJ.
That's fine with me. That's never mind.
The mental
Brian, are you
fortitude.
going to be seeing this movie?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely see this movie.
Josh, will you give this movie a chance?
iTunes.
He's just gonna wait until it's downloadable content.
A controlled environment in my living room.
You just can't say yes to things that are good, can you?
No.
Okay. All right, next movie, which I'm on the fence about, because I watched the trailer twice trying to get excited for it, is San Andreas. Nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto.
No.
Yes, I know.
Starring The Rock. It's fantastic. Listen, as someone who spends a week every 3 months in San Francisco,
Don't watch this movie.
hard effing pass.
Don't ever see this movie. Don't ever see this movie.
It's a
if you live
I
on the
disaster.
West
see
movie.
a tidal wave like crashing into the Golden Gate Bridge, and I'm like, I drive over that.
That's the still for the trailer that we have on our website.
And
It's
I'm
just
like, no.
The Golden Gate Bridge about to be demolished.
Like all of my coworkers, people that I interact with on a daily basis, and I'm like, all these people are dead. I might as well not even go into work.
That's your thought is, big tidal wave. Vacation.
Well, look, if all of a sudden what we have is Arizona Beach, I'm not. What's the point?
Well, although you could have Las Vegas be oceanside property, that could be pretty cool. You could jet ski after hitting the casino.
We're literally
yeah.
speaking about the end of the world right now.
Because that's a smart idea. Yeah, it's a disaster movie. It's an end of the world movie.
Yeah, but it's not like, to me, from what I've seen, doesn't seem like The Day After Tomorrow. It doesn't seem like the 2012 movie. It doesn't seem like whatever that Rapture movie was that came out not too long ago.
What, the Knowing? Or
no, was that the
No.
you're talking about Left
You're
Behind.
talking about Legion. You talking about Legion?
no, Legion was
No, he's talking about
awful.
Left Behind with Nicolas Cage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was it. All right,
I didn't see it.
I love Nicolas Cage.
Oh, Nicolas Cage, yeah. No, that's a whole nother
who else?
podcast.
Who else is it? So I saw Paul Giamatti's in this movie, which I love Paul Giamatti. We got Dwayne. Please don't call me The Rock Johnson. And Who's the other? Who's the female character?
Carla Gugino is in it. She was in.
What is she in?
She was in Sin City.
She was in Sin City.
Yeah, she's been in a bunch of stuff. Sin City is the first thing I think of.
she was
Thank you.
she was in Watchmen.
She was in Watchmen.
Yes,
And
yes.
Alexandria Daddario, I think her name is. I can't pronounce it. I probably butchered that name, but she's also in it.
It looks.
It
I agree
looks
with
like
you, Josh.
a disaster,
It's a disaster movie.
It looks like it looks just like it's supposed to look like. Hey,
What we need
let's
to
watch
do-
the world crack in half for an hour and a half, and
It's a
that's
popcorn
it.
eater.
What we need to do is say, okay, look, this comes out May 29th, starring Dwayne Don't Call Me The Rock Johnson, like you said. And more importantly, on June 21st, HBO launches Dwayne Johnson in a series called Ballers. Now that we need
Yes.
to watch. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm going to skip past that. You said Paul Giamatti, and I don't know where it's at on this list, but look, Paul Giamatti is in Straight Outta Compton, and look, as a
Is he really?
He is. He's
Yeah.
the manager.
he's the producer.
I love him.
That's not till August.
He's such a great character
Listen,
actor. He would totally fit in that film.
I was in 6th grade, and I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations expired on this. I stole the Chronic from a Woolworth, which is now closed. And then that launched me into really headfirst into hip hop. And right after that, I started picking up, just consuming all the hip hop I could. And Straight Outta Compton was one of those. It was one of those records that I just could not. I still, to this day, if it's on, when I hear that beat drop, dude, I go absolutely batshit crazy.
You're really fitting the stereotypical white guy in a Reading aspect
Look,
right now.
where I grew up.
It's a great. Listen, it's a good album. I can't like sit there and be like, yeah.
No, dude, where I grew up, how I grew up, the people that I grew up with, this is the music that everybody listened to. And it wasn't, a bunch of just, white dudes sitting around thinking about how cool it would be to be ghetto. It wasn't like that. It's not, and we also weren't, our art reflects our reality either. It was, there was some grimy stuff going on around us. I didn't live the most pristine life as a young kid. I came up a little hard. This music was phenomenal, and it still is. These are still records that I can listen to start to finish. So telling the story of NWA, and more importantly, the story of how Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre met, and Ice Cube and MC Ren and DJ Yella. It's the story is and what became Interscope and then Death Row Records,
And then turned into Beats Music. Tie-in.
Unbelievable. And I've been waiting for this for a long time.
I think that's a June movie.
August.
Brian?
August
Oh, it's an
14th.
August movie. So we will come back to that.
So you have to wait 2 or 3 more months for it.
Boo!
We'll let you go ham on it.
I will.
I know you will. All right, so I just want to recap again. So the movies that are coming out this May, and there's other movies, but of course these are the ones that are really going to soak up your time. These are the movies that people are going to be talking about. So if you want to go to the water cooler and have conversations about movies, it's The Age of Ultron on May 1st, Mad Max Fury Road on the 15th, Pitch Perfect 2 also on the 15th, Tomorrowland May 22nd, San Andreas May 29th. Are there any of these movies that you could just wish would just go away besides San Andreas? Is that the movie you wish never was made?
I'm probably going to see San Andreas, honestly.
Will you really?
Yeah, I mean, summer movie season.
You're the guy that goes like you go on Tuesday for like Stimulus Tuesday, right?
Sometimes, and San Andreas will probably be a Stimulus Tuesday movie for me. It's not going to be an opening weekend movie for me.
For those of you playing the home game, Stimulus Tuesday is a Carmike promotion where you get like $1 popcorn, $1 soda, $1 candy.
It's like $2, but whatever. Who's counting?
I would go to the Dollar Theater on Fifth Street Highway
Yes.
in Reading and watch all the second run stuff there.
If
and
that theater
would
was
see
still
that
up, I would totally be going there.
Is it dead? Is it defunct?
It's gone.
Oh, that's so sad. It's like the drive-in that I grew up with in Sinking Spring. It's just
Also gone and turned into a Rite Aid.
it's a hockey rink, right?
No, it was at the corner, so it's a
right,
Rite
it's a
Aid.
Rite Aid,
now.
yeah.
Sorry for again going off to the topic that no one gives a crap about, Reading politics and Reading geographical locations that are no longer there.
The point is, I'm the kind of guy who is at the movie theater every week during the summer. So, regardless of whether or not I see it opening weekend, I'll probably see San Andreas sometime the week it opens.
So I want to do a preference for this, and we've alluded to this. We are going to do a podcast that is nothing but Age of Ultron. We're just going to give our reactions. We're going to give our thoughts. We're going to talk about the whole movie. It's going to be a spoiler-ridden thing. So I'm going to advise you to see this movie as soon as you can.
We're going to be Spider-Maning spoilers all over the place.
all over it. And we're gonna dive into it. So go see that movie. It's going to be great. All right. Of the other movies besides Age of Ultron, which one are you most excited for?
Pitch Perfect.
No, Age of Ultron.
No, but
No, there's no besides that. There is no besides that. It is Age of Ultron. It is the Avengers month. I'm sorry. I love Pitch Perfect. I am really excited to see it. But this is going to be my summer movie that I see probably 5 times throughout the summer. Not joking. I've done it with Avengers, and I'll do it again with this one.
Not. I'm actually, if you take off Age of Ultron, which I know is a travesty to Brian's sensibility.
I don't know why you would do that. Why do you hurt me, CJ?
To honestly, just to get under your skin. Just to mess with you. I'm so excited for Tomorrowland. Josh, you got to give this movie a chance. It looks so good. The visuals on it look great. The story looks amazing.
Listen, Josh,
the
if
casting
you
looks
don't see
fantastic.
Tomorrowland, then just go see Avengers Age of Ultron again. That's okay. It's no problem.
Deal. By myself on a Wednesday like it should be.
Wednesday at 10 a.m. Just Josh alone with his popcorn.
He's so mad that he has to go to a midnight showing for a movie. It's just unbelievable. All right, so I want to talk one thing real quick before we go on to our next topic, and this is something that I've listened to with Brian about, and that's a movie etiquette problem that I have, and that's talking during the movie and cell phones during the movie. For the love of God, when you go to a movie, turn off your damn cell phone.
Nope.
Yeah, no, turn it off. Or
Nope.
go sit in the very back row where I can't see you.
Nope.
If you are anywhere towards the middle and your phone is on, get the out of my theater.
I'm going to
Get
be
out.
right in the middle, and I'm going to have the screen on the very lowest brightness.
No, that's still a
Nope.
blaring.
No, look, dude, look straight
light.
ahead. The movie
I can't.
screen is 53 feet wide.
And a 5-inch screen is distracting me to no end on it. Stop it.
This is just crazy.
No, it's not crazy. It's a good expectation to say turn off your phone when it's a completely dark area.
You know
and
what?
any light.
The thing before the movie, that doesn't even say turn off your phone. It says please silence your phone.
I know it does because
If the expected social behavior isn't for me to turn off my phone, I'm going to turn off my phone. You know where else I don't turn off my phone? Funerals. Don't do it. Church, no. Court, no.
Court, yeah.
well, court,
no.
no, that absolutely. Yeah,
Listen,
screw that.
I understand the need to have it on for emergencies and everything. I'm not a fan of when Jill is texting me wondering where I am or if I'm going to the mall, being like, "Oh yeah, I'm just in the movie theater."
There should be no talking.
No, and that's the other part.
Yeah,
Brian
talking,
goes with a
texting.
cast of characters
Oh my God.
that just talk during the entire movie, and he's invited me to the movies with him
No.
before. And I think the movie is a reverent place that requires silence, no other lights and distractions, and just enjoying a film. And the people that he goes with talk during the entire thing that I want to punch him in the head.
It's not
I
even.
can't deal with it.
It's not even that it's a reverent place. I mean, for me, and I feel
No,
like
it is.
It is. I mean, for me,
It's a reverence
and,
place.
yes, it's like church.
It's a place of reference. It's my church. The movie is my church. I'm not kidding around. I love movie. I go to the movies so much. I'm sure if I had to I could probably save a ton of money cutting my movie budget out of my life. I could probably go ahead and buy a couple more Apple Watches with the money that I would spend for it. No, I go to movies all the time.
No, I mean, I feel you that I'm
so
in the same boat. Listen, my point about movies is that the whole point of going to see a movie and that the fact that I spend now $10 or more if it's 3D or IMAX on a movie is so that I can escape for 2.5 hours. That it's supposed to be my escape. And your stupid conversation about what Jill was wearing at work the other day is not important to what's going on in front of me. You need to shut up.
Can I be really honest with both of you right now?
And your stupid light, Josh.
Most of the time, right, when I go to the movies with Laura, with the kids, by myself, most of the time when I go to the movies, I end up falling asleep halfway through. Like, I just can't.
Fine, that's good. Turn off your damn cell phone.
No, I'm saying, like, it's.
Because then you're asleep and you're getting text messages and your screen's going off.
It's not the same thing for everyone, is all I'm saying. And you have to accept that you two are probably way the hell on the other side of the spectrum from most people.
This is the place. So this is where I go. Remember we were talking about nerd rage and how the nerd community is usually pretty light.
Yeah.
And we don't usually yell at people.
Yeah.
This is the only exception to the rule that I have. That
this you get up and yell at people in the theater.
I don't yell at people, but I'm probably going to slash your tires after we get out of the theater. I'm following.
I was wondering how many times you've had your ass kicked in the theater. Is actually
0 times. Hold on, there's a small Reading story for you, just to detract. My wife and I were at the Reading IMAX theater, and if you're not familiar with the city of Reading, Pennsylvania, Google it and then don't ever visit.
And the IMAX is sort of right smack in the middle of downtown Reading. Yeah,
it's like, hey, it's not really in Reading, but like you could like get in and out and never actually quote be in Reading enough. You feel okay. So we're in the IMAX, we're in the back row, and this woman is literally on her phone the entire time. Now it was Transformers 2, so I'm okay with that. The racist robots, I was okay with just the distraction happening, and my wife just goes, just like that, just. Very inaudible, because we're in an IMAX with a Michael Bay movie. So the fact that someone heard a is just beyond me. And she just turns around and just starts yelling, mind your business, and starts getting up. And we're just like, nope, we're fucking out of here. Get out. We're just leaving the movie. Goodbye. Never going to happen. So I've never got my ass kicked because I know how to run away from a fight.
Well, that's good, CJ.
So speaking of Reading and that lifestyle, I kind of want to segue then into the Furious franchise. Fast and Furious 7 just wrapped up. It was in theaters. I actually wanted to see it. I didn't get to catch it, but I'm okay with us talking about the topic and spoil what we have to. Josh, I know this was a topic that was kind of close to you, so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about this franchise, and it gets a bad rap. I'd like to hear your perspective on it and see if it's something that you can change some people's minds for.
Yeah, well, there's a few ways to look at this. I mean, I think the first thing for me, this movie came out, The Fast and the Furious came out 3 or 4 days after my 21st birthday. I had the week off for obvious reasons, and it was back then. My friends and I had been into modifying cars. Racing cars, all of our cars had bolt-ons. We were at the track in Maple Grove, running, usually every other Friday night, and I mean all of us. And this is all we did. We talked about racing cars and fast cars, turbochargers, loud stereos. That was what we did before the movie. So here's the bad rap. The movie came out, and we're sitting there in the theater, thoroughly enjoying sort of the show, but not understanding anything they're saying. They didn't actually say anything meaningful about cars pretty much the whole movie. And in the first movie, the fastest car, the Skyline, never raced, and it just drove me out of my mind.
Wait, really? I've never noticed that.
No, his the one crony. I don't even know the guy's name. He had like the slick back hair.
Right.
He drove a Nissan R32 Skyline. That's the car with the most potential in that movie, and the car never raced. As a matter of fact, in the very next movie, Brian comes back with an R34 GTR Skyline, and they're like, oh, now everything's fine in the world. But it's the same goddamn car. and more or less. But you know, Supra, the 2JZ motor, I get it, fine. Everybody loves this car. Look, it's just very, very close to my heart in that it was a time where all of my friends and I enjoyed this same thing. We were all living together. You know, it's what I describe as my college years, and as the movies kept coming out, we would all sort of reconvene and go to the movies together. And then, you know, it's this sort of the adrenaline that gets pumping when you see a movie like that, or when you're with all your boys, and you know, you get in fights afterward, you're racing cars around, cops are pulling you over. It's all fun. But what happens is, and there's going to be spoilers as the movies went, and I actually said this to Brian when we first started talking about doing this piece. We talked about the Fast series not being complete and them wanting to do these movies in threes. So you have Tokyo Drift there in the middle, which I think everybody can admit is not really part of the series so much.
And a terrible movie.
It has its place. Calm down. But I said, regardless of the Paul Walker situation, there was going to be more. They're not done. And as a matter of fact, this movie, Fast 7, was just wrapping up this is the third of the last three, wrapping up that storyline. There's going to be three more.
Wait, hold on. I did read this, but I thought that after Paul Walker died, they were going to really?
No, that was the end of a trilogy, okay? 7 was the end of the 5, 6, 7 trilogy. Okay.
Does the movie lend itself to allowing more movies to come through?
Of course it does.
Does the ridiculous subplots and twists, and yeah, man, you can. Here's the thing.
So here's the thing. I haven't seen it, so I literally didn't know if after his death, if they just couldn't do it anymore. Okay, hold on. So real quick. If you are interested in this portion here, we will pause if we're going to spoil it here, and I'll let you know when you can go ahead and jump ahead. So if you are interested in saving that last movie, if you wanted to watch it or something, we're going to make sure you can get the moment to adjust. Okay, if you want to avoid the spoiler for the Fast and Furious franchise, skip to 57:30. That's 57 minutes and 30 seconds, and you will be spoiler free. Okay, so if you're still listening, you have now been warned. Spoilers are coming.
So in the movie, he didn't die. Okay, the end of this movie, you have the Wiz Khalifa track playing, which is, a good track for all intents and purposes. But it's all of them on a beach talking about this is where we belong. And it's Brian and Mia playing with Jack, their son. And then Brian just sort of walks away, right? Like you see Dom get up and he walks off the beach and somebody says, aren't you going to say goodbye? And he goes, it's never goodbye. And he gets in his car and starts to drive off. And then this white Supra, uber white Supra that you've never seen pulls up. And now you're getting the symbolism, right? It's his carriage, or he's an angel, whatever. And, he pulls up and, you didn't think you could leave without saying goodbye. And they just sort of race off together. But then Brian veers off into another direction. And I'll tell you what, dude, it was emotional watching it. It's emotional thinking about it, because it's not this character dying and going away. It's, for me, a part of the last 14 years and all of the relationships I've had that, as you grow up, that goes away sort of naturally, but you miss it. And that's what it represented. It was really, I thought, really well done. Brian, you saw it, right?
Yeah, no, I saw it. I thought they handled it so extremely well. And I mean, the Fast and Furious franchise has never been as close to me as it has to you, Josh. So, I mean, it's always been something that I've enjoyed. I've seen them all in the theater. But here's my thing. I think they did it so well, and that's why I have a problem with if they do, or if they've confirmed that they're making a new one. I think
they've confirmed it. It's confirmed.
Okay,
they did confirm it.
So here's my problem with this: the Brian and Dom relationship is so strong, and it's a very huge focal point of that franchise and that movie. That movie, for the entirety of it, is really the subplot, besides the huge action explosion stuff that's going on, is Brian needs to move on to the next phase of his life and be a family man, and not have to be always jumping in the danger and stuff. And that they ended their story so well. I don't think there should be any others. I think this should be the end.
Right, 4. So you have 4, 5, 6, 7 now. Basically, what happens is they position Dom as a crew runner, a leader, right? And Brian at that point, yeah, he's his wingman. Yeah, he's his brother, no, his best friend, whatever. But he basically became a specialist, a team member. And they really sort of line that up best in 6, when Shaw, right, the villain, had almost an identical team. So you have, you got Hobbs and Dom, and then you have Brian is a specialist. Like Tej, like everybody, like Han, like everybody was a specialist. Giselle, but it didn't become about that anymore. Now this is a tactical crew, and it's an action film, not a racing film.
And that's the thing too. When they started adding Dwayne, please don't call me The Rock Johnson to the crew as well, I saw that shift too, Josh. It didn't become about a racing movie anymore, and it wasn't about cars. It was an action adventure kind of movie that was about a group, about specialists, and it wasn't so much on these two individuals. It was about this as a unit.
It's a Bond flick.
Right, yeah, and you can have people leave. You have different cues and things like that throughout the Bond franchise. I don't think they're going to replace it with a different Paul, but the fact that I don't think those movies really hinge on those two as they used to. I think if you look at it as a franchise, yeah, you're right. That is the driving force behind these connections. It's what gives moments of real good drama. It gives these characters some good motivations for each other, but they're subplots to what's happening, and they're not the main force anymore. So I figured, I honestly didn't figure that they would do another one, and that was just because reading the cast reaction to the death of Paul, they even said they may even just scrap this movie. So the fact that they said, okay, we're going to continue it, we're going to finish it, I thought, well, that would clearly be the end. And the way that you're describing it, Josh, how they drove it off, I thought would do it. But I'm okay with them continuing it with it. They just need to do this right, only because I think this brought more people into this. What happened, so unfortunate as it is, really brought a lot of people back into this franchise and really started making, like Josh is saying, a lot of emotional connections with things. And I think people are also now watching it retroactively, see a different thing out of it. Knowing what happened to Paul Walker, I think has made some people appreciate the performance and the relationships that were formed in those movies. So if you're going to continue, if you're going to do another, you said another 3, Josh?
I think it's gonna be 3. Yeah, that's my prediction.
It's got to be handled correctly, though.
Right, it's got to be handled correctly, and I think they will. And the fact that they can handle the death of a major player in this movie franchise so well that literally any review that I read where it said it's spoilers, but stay at this point, were like they handled it really well, and I didn't think that they would.
I was worried.
Okay, these filmmakers should get credit for that, so I think they're going to be okay.
I saw this movie 4:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and there were 5 other dudes in the theater. And I was choked up at the end. There's a dude behind me 3 rows back sobbing, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, worth it. Whatever you got to do, I get it. It was an emotional flick for sure.
Yeah. I teared up.
I think the next one is going to be, it's just going to be a different vibe. They're going to launch it in New York, and that'll be a whole different series.
And see, that's the thing. If you change the series, you change the location, you change the tone of the movie, I think they'll be okay. I think that they're worth it. So I still want to see the film. Is it worth seeing if you haven't been following the Fast franchise?
Absolutely. I saw it in for branding sake. I saw it in a Cinemark XD. And I will say this: if you are at all squeamish or motion, I almost threw up once. It was the way the scenes are. And I don't know, Brian, if you identify this at all, but the the cliff scenes and the way they're shooting, the camera angles, the top of the tower in Dubai, and I thought I might get sick into my popcorn.
They did a lot of, not like shaky camera or anything, but very much like you kind of feel like you're in the car almost type of thing.
Bullet?
Not exactly like Bullet. I didn't get a whole lot of motion sickness. I didn't see it on any special Cinemark HD whatever screen or anything. But yeah, this movie is just a fun action adventure movie, just like every other Fast and Furious movie before it. I mean, if you just want to sit down for an hour and a half or 2 hours and watch some cool action and a decent story and fast cars, it's a great movie to watch.
And I think it also serves as a place. And I'm sorry, Josh. Actually, you go ahead. You first.
I'm hoping, and I think it's probably my wrap on it. I'm hoping that moving forward, they can get away a bit from all the family talk, right? I mean, we can admit, Vin Diesel. Laura's texting me from the other room that Vin Diesel, she's just got 8 poop emojis on the screen in Vin Diesel's name. So I get it. He's not the best actor. Fine. But I think what makes it worse is that the same thing that happened in that last season of Sons of Anarchy. I don't need to see these dudes hugging and kissing all the time. Right. I get it. You love each other. It's great. I love my boys too. You know what we don't do? Hug and kiss. Just stop.
What are you talking about? You kiss me all the time.
Seriously. That cheapens every kiss I've ever gotten from you.
Wow.
I feel cheated right now. I feel like our relationship has just diminished.
It's completely changed.
And I'll say this, and I'll speak from a performer standpoint, if I may. This is a character that Paul Walker has been working on for years. I mean, over a decade. Really put production end to end. And seeing somebody off like that in a very gracious, very well handled way is rare within the movie business. Usually they go for the cheap way, or they go for the over ambitious, or they go for the over the top part for it. From everything I've heard from people, everything I've read, and from what Josh is just expressing, they do it a real good way. And it's a good way to say goodbye to someone's performance and goodbye to a person as well. And I think it's definitely worth seeing. I am going to see it. I need to get the time to do it. There's so much going on. So here's some things I want to recap just a little bit about what we talked about. I think we got a good stance on going into these music services now. I really think that Try and Beats Out is actually going to give me a good commute. And the fact that they have that sentence, I could put in, I'm on my way home from the movies, sad, and maybe get something back for it. Or I'm on my way to, punch holes.
It's going to be a lot of Belle and Sebastian.
That's fine. If I can have music to pump myself up to stand outside and hold on. So Age of Ultron is going to premiere in May. Pennsylvania's weather pattern. So it'll be snowing with 3 feet to wait outside for that. I need something to keep me jazzed. I think it'll be helpful for it.
The thought of seeing Robert Downey Jr. kick even more ass should keep you warm enough.
I know. Put that in a sentence on Beats Music. I'm in.
I'm about to see Robert Downey Jr. Punch some robots by myself in the cold and see what pops up.
It's the Bye Bye Little Sebastian song from Parks and Rec. That should keep you warm. So Age of Ultron is going to be great. Mad Max, we want to hear your opinions on that one, because we're kind of wish-washy about it. Pitch Perfect is so excited. Tomorrowland, it looks fantastic. I know Josh is on the fence and he'll move. And then San Andreas. Want to hear your thoughts on everything, including your thoughts on the Furious franchise as well. So again, we have a couple ways to do that. You can go ahead and you can comment directly on our website, thatkindofnerd.com, on this podcast episode. You can also leave us a review on iTunes. No one's done that yet, and I'm thinking we could have a cool little giveaway and to be named later for someone who leaves us our first review, no matter what it is. We're okay with constructive criticism. Email us at podcast@thatkindofnerd.com. We're on Twitter at thatkindofnerd. And finally, our phone number, which is 484-373-4119. Please call and leave a comment. And that leads me to something that I think we need to address right away. And there's 2 things, actually. But number 1, Josh, I got a call from a wonderful little girl and a little boy who called you out on your Star Wars conversation that you had about how you exposed your kids to it.
If I don't correct you right now, I'm gonna get somebody's gonna call me out later.
I also got an email from your wife with picture proof.
Yes.
With picture proof from Facebook of you talking about how you introduce your kids to Star Wars, and I call shenanigans on what you said on the air, and I would like a recant right now.
I think my wife had to go back. Is she there? She's in the other room with little brother. She's with Aaron in the other room. But she went back, I think, 2 years in Facebook, literally scrolling until she found this post. Now I'm not
kidding, guys. I have to find the email.
I said, watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I don't know. Other than I was that sentence was brought to you by Oscar Blues Brewery and Maker's Mark. I can't figure out why I would have said that. That's not how I watched. I watched 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Maybe I was thinking watch them chronologically, and I just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's no excuse. I said it wrong, and my son Christian heard the podcast, called me out he's like, "Daddy, I did not watch like that. I watched 4, 5, 6, 1, which was stupid. 2, 3, and
it's so true."
He doesn't like Jar Jar Binks, and I don't think he cared much for the pod races either.
Nobody does.
Well, whatever, man. It's an important part of the story.
The pod race is not an important part of the story. You take that back.
I have to read part of this email here, just because I was out walking my dog, and my dog almost ran away from me because I was almost bellied over. While thoroughly enjoying your third podcast, I, Laura Burns, was disappointed and frankly horrified to hear the argument of Josh Burns that our children watch Star Wars in the order 1 through 6. When Josh decided in the summer of 2013 that it was time for our children to embark on this journey at the ages of 3 and 5, he subjected me to many conversations on the correct order. As parents, we decided that the order should be 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and she goes on for a lot of good reasons as to why, and of course Christian hating Jar Jar Binks as well. So you've raised a fantastic son, and then including 2 Facebook pictures that I had half a mind to put up online, but I will not, of you video proof here with hashtag Daddy Day and hashtag Movie Marathon hashtag Star Wars. Explain to people that you're doing it in the wrong order. So not only did one of our fans call you out, but it was your wife and your son.
So refresh my memory. When I said 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, I believe Josh went, ugh. Was there his exact words?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, look, again, I recant thoroughly. I've been, I think, adequately shamed both by my friends and by my beloved wife. And I think that it's very clear now. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. That's the order of the watching, and the watching shall be in the order of 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
I still will hold by my machete order to try it out. I still want to get some feedback on the machete order for people. All right, so then I got another email on our podcast email. That's podcast@thatkindofnerd.com. And this was actually from Brian's father, Brian's dad. And this is a long one, and we may do this in other segments too. But the first thing I wanted to kind of push back on was Josh, Mr. Thornton here, calls you out on your argument of the validity of using TV stars and unknown stars in the movies. Brian, do you have that email up by your dad right now?
I actually do, and it is really lengthy.
Could you? He goes on for a good four paragraphs for this. Can you hit him with some of the highlights as to why we should be using the DC characters in movies?
So my father is an extremely well thought out individual and put together this email that proves several different points. But he has a couple different examples here, Joshua, of people that I didn't even think of that made it from the small screen to the big screen and did both quite successessily.
Is one of them Tom Selleck?
One of them is not Tom Selleck, but he is very quick to point out Tom Hanks, who started out as a drag queen.
Bosom buddies.
Yeah, bosom buddies. I know. Yeah, bosom buddies, yeah.
And the fact that maybe even Michael Keaton, who was our first Batman.
Did Tom Hanks go on to make the movie Bosom Buddies?
No, he went on to make, a little movie called, Big. And
maybe Stephen Amell will make a movie, but it's not going to be the Arrow.
Well, first of all, he's going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which he's going to be Arrow surrounded by turtles. He's just going to be Casey
Jones.
So, yeah.
All right, so here's the sentence that I really like, and then I want to wrap up because we're running a little longer than I thought we would. Furthermore, Josh, think about this. If people based whether they see a movie or not on what stars or big names they can identify with, no one would have ever gone to see the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman movie. He was barely known and for an offbeat bad comedies. In fact, most of us who love the Batman character groaned in agony when we heard that Keaton had been cast as Batman. But when we went and saw it, we loved the movie anyway. Why? Because, and this is my real point, the characters are the heroes that draw for the movie. The suits, the gadgets, the special effects, and so on, not the actors who play them. If the story is good and well written, and it sticks to mainly the source material, people of all ages who love these characters will go and see them and love them. Besides, Flash and Arrow would be minor, secondary characters in the Justice League, just like Hawkeye and Black Widow are in the Avengers. Folks will go to see these movies for Batman and Superman, and maybe Wonder Woman, regardless of who plays them. And that goes well for Arrow and Flash. So why not use the guys on TV? In fact, so much of their backstory and so much of their particular characters would come to the big screen with. Not to mention, all the fans of these shows will also see the movies as tie-ins. And the fans of the movies who might not have seen the shows may want to watch them. And he goes on to even do the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it really comes down to the big names that drove the movies that started the comic book series weren't huge. The fact that Arrow and Flash are not going to be huge centric people. They're there to see these characters.
Right.
And if they're done right, that's the big crux. If they're done right, it doesn't matter who the face is behind that. You watch George Clooney with nipples on for Batman, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Why can't we use the same TV actors? Hold on. Listen, I want to give you 5 minutes for a rebuttal, and then we have to wrap the show.
So, Brian, first, I love your dad's point of view, and I think it's fantastic that he wrote such a well thought out argument. I think that there's a couple things that we're not looking at, and one is nobody went to see Batman for Michael Keaton. He was not the draw. Jack Nicholson and Kim Basinger were the draws for that movie. It was a summer blockbuster, and it had Tim Burton on it. I liked the movie as a kid, but it pales in comparison to anything that's been done recently. More importantly, we've made such a clear distinction in what we expect to see in our blockbusters that these small names won't cut it. They just flat out won't cut it. And I don't care how big Tom Hanks got, right? He had to start small. I get it. Cool. But nobody watched him until Big was a huge hit. Nobody remembers The Burbs. They just don't.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to have to just comment on this really quick, because in my email, my dad actually says, I'm surprised you didn't fight him for a little bit longer on this point.
I will give you 2 minutes, sir. And then
we're going to do this like debate club. Okay.
Absolutely we are. You get 2 minutes.
I could see your point of view, but and this is a conversation me and my dad have had multiple times. And in regards to any superhero movie, whether it be Batman or Spider-Man or anything, it's not always about who is underneath the mask. It's the mask in general. People go to see a Batman movie for Batman, not necessarily for Michael Keaton or for Christian Bale even. Or even when I went to see the first Spider-Man movie, I didn't know who the hell Tobey Maguire was. I had never seen Cider House Rules. But I went to see it anyway because of the Spider-Man character. It's the characters that are a big draw. And the point is, I think that these folks can definitely make it on the big screen, especially in the minor character role that they're going to be in Justice League, just in general.
Here's an idea that I have just for the sake of argument, and this seems like a really good topic to us to talk about. And I want to say this for maybe not another episode, just because the email that Brian's dad sent us is just phenomenal. But I have an idea that we can go ahead and use it for our website, thatkindofnerd.com.
I love that I'm still the polarizing one. And it doesn't matter how many listeners, whose family members, whatever. I love that I'm still the polarizing one. I relish that, and I welcome the debate. I wish I had a little bit more time to prep, but
yes.
Listen, Mr. Thornton, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the call out. It was phenomenally well thought out and incredibly articulately written paragraph or two that I heard from CJ.
So this is what we're gonna do. We are going to post Brian's dad's. I'm going to call it an article, to be honest, rebuttal to your suggestion online. And Josh, I would like for you to go ahead and repair a retort to Mr. Thornton's post here, and then we'll of course allow Brian to defend in his dad's honor, or we'll allow Brian's dad to actually post back. And I want to see this exchange. And if it gets real good, let's get your dad on the show, Brian.
He would love that.
Let's have him talk about it.
He would love to just verbally box with you, Josh. I think he would have no problem with that.
So again, we want to hear your thoughts and your opinions. And since it was some of the first ones that we've gotten, I think we have a good way, a better way to get your opinion out there. So again, you can tweet us at That Kind of Nerd. You can send us an email at podcast@thatkindofnerd.com or call 484-373-4119. Josh, Brian, thank you so much for recording with us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you to the listeners who have tuned in for this episode. I thought we did well. Thank you for letting us run a little bit over. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for listening to the That Kind of Nerd podcast. We want to thank everyone for their support, and it means so much to us that you'll listen to our show. But we still need some help. So on our website, thatkindofnerd.com, we have a link to a GoFundMe campaign that will help us buy more equipment and necessary software to make the podcast. Whether you donate $100 or $1, we appreciate everything that you do, and we'll give you a shout out on the website and at the beginning of the podcast. So go to thatkindofnerd.com, look for our link for our GoFundMe, and help the show keep going.